morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 a.m., Tuesday, May 28th. We will open the weekly Cottington County Board of Commissioners meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Cindy, you want to lead us today?
Sure. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you have a cell phone, please silence it or turn it off. If you get a call during the meeting, please step out in the rotunda area so you don't disrupt the meeting. This meeting is being streamed live, so if you approach the board or wish to speak with us, you will be on that live stream. Just a heads up so you know about it. That being said, if there's anyone in the audience that has any items that they were, or anything that they would like to bring to the commission during the open, we would be sure to allow them time to do that. We would not be able to act on it as it is not an agenda item, but we would encourage you to do that. Seeing that, how about the members of the board? Is there any items on the agenda you feel that you may have a conflict of interest with? Seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make that motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
By Hatton, second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries. What about the minutes of
Move
May
to
21st meeting?
approve as emailed.
Motion by Hatton,
Second.
second by Waterman. To approve the minutes. Any additions or corrections? Any comments? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go right then to the reports. Jim Sutton is not here. He's at a training session up at the high school. So we'll go right to Steve in the weed department. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Nope.
There we are. We're live. All right. Well, to start out, equipment is ready. We've sprayed a couple private individuals, probably a couple weeks ago and stuff like that, on some private little acres that has wormwood and stuff like that. And then, of course, due to the wet weather and the late season, the noxious weed development is a little slow. We are probably planning on starting maybe later this week or next week. I want to make sure that the spurge is well going. Spurge is probably the first thing that we really notice in the ditches, and that's what we get started on first. Also, I'm planning on going and helping on collection of the hemlock larvae out in Sturgis. I've talked with Department of Ag. They haven't really spotted much of anything yet, but they're figuring probably in the next week or so. I need to get a travel request in on that. It won't be until next week to get that in, but there is a possibility it could probably be next Tuesday. So I'll get that submitted to have that signed for next week and so that. And I'll let everybody know that I'm heading out and stuff. I attended the EBA workshop in Sioux Falls back the 5th or the 7th of May. There was attendees of 4 different companies for treatment, and they went a little more in depth from what last year was of treating and how the right procedures and then the cost, what generates. And the cost usually for treating a tree is between $10 to $13 per inch diameter of tree is generally the cost. In Sioux Falls, they have an app program that is set up for all the arborists that they need to record the trees that are treated and or that have been cut down for damage and stuff like that.
What was the workshop?
It was the EBA workshop.
EAB.
Yeah, Emerald Ash Borer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I abbreviated it.
EAB,
Yeah,
EAB.
EAB.
Okay,
Emerald
okay.
Ash
I
Borer.
thought you were saying okay,
Okay, sorry.
okay.
And I might have said EBA.
You did. All right, got it.
Something new.
All right.
Here in the past couple weeks, Bob Feldhuis from Hamlin County is retiring, and he was on the State Weed Supervisors Association at large. I am sitting as interim for at large for the State Weed Board Association, and this is not related to the commission. I won't know that probably until September on the commission, who has been not appointed by the governor. So, West Nile attended the workshop up in Aberdeen. Got the mosquito machine calibrated. The biggest thing there is they went through the whole development of the mosquitoes from pupae all the way through development and timing of treatments and what's the best treatments. And of course, if it's possible, it's better to treat it as in the larvae or in the small stage in the ponds and stuff like that, because the more you get there, the less you have to actually turn around and do the chemical applying in the air. And then speaking of that, I did apply for the grant for $5,000. This year, the grants are going to be done differently than in the past. Usually, if you get approved in July, the county gets the check, or whatever individual does. This year, they're doing a different procedure, and that is we apply for it, and then we have to send in the W-9 forms, the insurance form, and a signed contract. And then we have to turn in vouchers in October for the basically reimbursement up to whatever we applied the grant for. This is more or less occurred from the past, from some grants that were misused and stuff like that in the past, and we were always wondering how long it was going to be before the Department of Health would do that. We always have to do it with our weed grants and stuff like that to show all that, but it was time, I guess, for them to do that. So I guess that's pretty well what I have to
The only
report on.
questions I've had the past week is, unless you've got your head in the sand or whatever, dandelions. Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, wet conditions and cold, wet conditions, that really brings on dandelions big time strong. It always seems like the wetter it is, the more dandelions that do generate.
But they're doing really, really well.
Well, they're good pollinator. They're great for the pollinators, so.
The other thing that we're going to be really have to be aware of is, I think this is going to be a banner year for mosquitoes too.
I think it probably will be. It probably is going to be more the nuisance mosquitoes than the West Nile, because West Nile seems to want more heat and smaller amounts of moisture. But yes, we will have a lot of nuisance mosquitoes.
Yeah. Is my mic on?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Can I turn it up a little bit?
I know this one's feeding
Can you
back.
Just turn it down a little bit.
Do you want to hear me now?
Some people are really good at turning
quick
talking
question.
into them and some aren't.
Just a quick question.
I noticed I talk loud.
Please
so
go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, can you refresh my memory on the hemlock larvae that you mentioned?
Okay, the hemlock larvae, we have some poison hemlock in this county, and then there's some in the surrounding counties. And the larvae, what the larvae does is they eat and chew on the plants, and then the moths develop, and then the moths don't really feed on them much during the year, but it's during the springtime when the larvae starts feeding on them plants. I have sites that there is starting to show some suppression and stuff like that. So, and the more we get around here, we have way more hemlock here than there is in the hills. And when it first was getting distributed of the larvae, they got the same amount that we got. So their concentration was that much more. we'd like to see the same results that they're having out there. I mean, they just totally devastate those plants, just totally, almost eat them down to stubs. It's amazing. And
And that's
we
all
were
they
for
want
it.
to eat is.
Yep, that's all they eat, so, yep.
And so then the moths are also attracted to that, so then hopefully
The
they
moths
lay
are
their
attracted to
eggs.
it, and yep, and then what they do is they actually, the adult overwinters in the duck. And then they emerge, and then they breed, lay eggs, and then shortly after they lay eggs, the moths die off, and then the larva starts up again.
Thanks.
Okay, any more questions for Steve? Thank you for that good weed report, so we know what to look
All
out
right.
for now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, let's go on to item number 7, action to approve the minutes of the combined planning, zoning, and commissioners meeting of April. That should be 15th and 20th,
29th.
29th, 15th and 29th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by
I'll
Van
second
Duzen,
that.
second by
I did.
Hanton.
Hatton.
Yep.
Any discussion? That, by the way, is in your packet. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, number 8, an action to approve a request to hold church services at Memorial Park. I thought we had done this early on.
No, we didn't. I looked back in the minutes, and then I emailed Robin at the church, and she said they've had so many discussions with Milo about it, they forgot to come before this board.
Oh,
I'll make a
well,
motion
So
to
I did
approve
look
that.
back to see.
Second.
I think Milo maybe talked about it, maybe that's why, because I remember, I thought something was discussed about that as
And a
well.
motion by Hatton and a second by Waterman. Any discussion?
I thought we'd, as far as discussion, I thought we'd taken care of this last year.
It's gotta be
Not that
done
it's
every
every
year.
year.
We do it every year.
Every year.
whatever, with them putting up some kind of a shelter.
Yeah.
But they request authorization every year.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries. Let's go on to number 9, action to act as the pass-through agency for historical preservation grant. That is in your packet as well. Cindy, you might inform us on this.
This is something we have done every year for a number of years. We're just acting as the pass-through. We pay the bills that are submitted from the Historic Preservation Commission here in Cottington County. We pay them, and then we submit a grant reimbursement, and when we get that, we do a budget supplement. So we're just the pass-through on this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Van Duzen,
Second.
second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion carries.
Most of these, they need a governmental agency in order
Yeah.
to apply for their
Yeah.
grants,
Yeah.
so.
Number 10, action to approve a grant agreement with, our agreement for WIC funding. And that, again, is in your packet.
And this is our annual agreement with the South Dakota Department of Health for WIC clerical services. Total contract amount not to exceed $45,000.
Move to approve.
Motion by Hatton,
Second.
second by Gable. Any discussion?
Can you,
This is an annual,
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
Cindy,
Steve.
can you review the way that breaks down? So it says the amount provided by the state grantor is $1,272. And
I gotta get to that page.
just the first, if I'm looking at, am I looking at the right thing?
what page are you
Oh,
looking
no,
at?
I'm looking, I'm sorry. Okay, never mind. I was looking at that.
That's the other grant,
I was
yeah.
stuck
Oh,
on that.
okay.
I was stuck on that.
Okay, all right.
Thinking
You're
after
on
the
the
cover
last
letter.
one,
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
Now I was stuck after the
Okay.
cover letter of the other one.
And
so-
our grant reimbursement, it's a maximum of $45,000, but it's based on the number of clients that our WIC office sees. So if for some reason we would exceed that amount, they would provide us with a supplemental grant agreement or a funding
Right,
agreement later.
okay.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 11 is action to approve a project to complete landscaping on the west side of the north courthouse entrance. So that'd be out
Right here.
Yeah.
Milo could not be here. He had another appointment this morning. This is a continuation of the project from last year. We did the east side last year, the east side of the entryway. It is a budgeted item, and the cost estimate is approximately $3,100.
Move to approve.
Motion by Hatton,
Second.
second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Number 12 is any change orders for the model project. Lee, you have anything?
None, Mr. Chairman. I'm expecting, I think, maybe one more, but not, I don't have it yet, so. Don't know.
Okay, so none today, but you're expecting.
I think we might have one.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's go on to number 13, action to approve claims for payment. What do we have today, Cindy, beside payroll?
We'll need two separate actions. We've got our 911 payment to the city of Watertown based on the collections, surcharge collections for the month of March. It's $23,045.33 per contract. We pay that to the city of Watertown.
Move to approve.
Motion by Hatton, second by
Second.
Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Any budget supplements?
Oh, we do have, I'm sorry,
Oh,
we
yeah,
do
yeah,
have payroll
we
claims.
have payroll too, yeah.
Yep, payroll claims in the amount of $546,664.39 for the month of May. There's nothing out of the ordinary in these payroll claims.
Move to approve.
Motion by Van Duzen, second by
I'll second.
Gable. Any discussion? And that is in your packet as well.
It was on our desk.
I laid it on
It
your
was on
desk
the
this morning,
Yes.
yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on then to budget supplements. Anything this week?
Nope, nothing today.
That's good. Personnel changes, we do have a couple here.
A couple of those, and then we also need to note that we have volunteers at Memorial Park. This can all be one, actually, we should probably take these volunteers separately
Yep.
for our workman's comp insurance. Mr. Ford is requesting to add Darla Storm, Bob Storm, and Ben Wagner as volunteers at Memorial Park this season.
I'll entertain a motion to do
I'll
that.
make that motion.
Motion by
Second
Gable.
that.
Second by Hatton. Any discussion? The reason that we do that is so that they are on our liability.
Correct.
So that makes certain.
They are unpaid
Yep.
volunteers.
All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on then to the.
We have two employees. First one is Michael Morgan. He's a deputy sheriff, and his anniversary date was May 1st. He'll go to step 4, $23.36 per hour. Marcy Rosso is the cook in the detention center. She's due a step increase on June 1st to step 10, $18.93. And then we can just note that we have been notified by the Teamsters Local Union Number 120, who represent the correctional officers. Is that correct? They have requested collective bargaining agreement negotiations to be open for wages and working conditions.
Make a
Move to
motion.
approve.
Second.
Motion by Hatton, second by Van Duzen. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have a couple of travel requests as well.
First one is from Rick Hartley, the highway superintendent, requesting authorization to attend the highway superintendent's summer meeting, and he will use a county vehicle for that. And then the next one is to request authorizations for 3 maintenance staff, yet to be determined, to attend the Hilliard Custodial Seminar. And we have the Director of Equalization, the office staff, and the director herself to attend the sales ratio workshop in Brookings. And then the Director of Equalization and appraisal staff to attend the annual SDAAL school in September. And then emergency management secretary a CRMCS training, and that is to train Sherry on the machine that makes the name badges, identification badges. And that's it.
Okay. Motion?
Move to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. How about old business? Do we have any old, mature business that we need to handle this morning? Any older, mature business?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just let everybody know, this is the week I'm going to that conference in Oakland, the data, this, local government data conference, but it's the reason I'm going is we're part of the data-driven justice initiative, and so I got a grant to attend. There's a workshop dealing with data-driven justice and local governments. Actually, there's a workshop and a session on that, so.
When does it start? When does it end?
I'm leaving tonight, and so it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so I'm coming back Friday.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for doing that. Anything else? Any other old business? How about new business? Any new business? Any new business? Any new business? Seeing none, then let's go to the open. And I think there's one thing here on in your packet in reference to First District. There's a SIP meeting, and if you've not been to one of them, that's always interesting. That's the proposed work that a DOT plans to do in the near future in our area. And that date is Wednesday, June 26th at 10 a.m. in the First District's office.
STIP is the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program.
Yep. And it usually lasts, maybe an hour or a strong hour. And you go through it pretty quickly.
I think doesn't it go out 5 years? I'm just trying to remember how
I
far
don't know how
out.
many
It's got, it always, it's 5 years, but
Yeah,
it's rolling.
it
yeah.
gets tweaked, but they kind of have a plan for,
2020 to 2023
oh, okay.
is the dates that they're looking at on this one.
Yeah,
Yep.
they maybe used to be 5, but they can't go that far anymore.
All right,
Fun
anything else
days.
for the open?
Probably this afternoon, 2 o'clock, Joy Ranch, there's that groundbreaking for John Calvin and his new industrial park. So it could be a quorum of commissioners at that, I might
Okay.
possibly think.
Anything else? Anything else for the open? I have no requests for executive sessions today.
Make a motion to
There's
adjourn.
a motion by Hatton to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
By Van Duzen. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I think with record time.
Good, go get some chairs
That's
moved.
definitely
That
one of the
is
shortest.
one of the shortest,
Worked out well
yep.
for you.
Everybody's excited for cupcakes, that's what we got done.
All right.
Oh, yeah, we should break out the cupcakes. I've been sitting here eyeing this one. I better have it. I didn't,